Welcome students. Today we are going to start a new chapter from English Alive course book, that is chapter number 2, Traveling with Grandfather's Jew by Ruskin Bone. Okay? Ruskin Bone mainly writes uh, poems and stories for the children, and he is an Indian author of British origin. Okay, he was born and brought up in India. That's why he claims the Indian citizen. So he also had a great contribution in the field of Indian English literature. So this is all about Ruskin Bond. Now we coming to the point. We'll start with the story. So this is a very humorous story, and this story tells us about the author's train journey full of fun with grandfather, grandmother, and its pets. So let's get started with the story. Before starting with the story, let us first focus on the main character of this story. So, number one is writer or narrator as a child. Okay. Number two is grandfather. Number three is grandmother. Number four is tiger as Timothy. Okay. Parrot as Popeye, and small squirrel as Chips, snake as Python, and Aunt Mabel. Okay, so these are the main character of the story. So let's begin with the story. Traveling with Grandfather's Zoo by Ruskin Bone. The story starts with the high shrieky voice of the parrot, that is Popeye. Okay, they want to board the train before the journey starts. So the journey starts, and as the journey starts, they started boarding the train. So they are going to Lucknow from Dehradun to visit Aunt Mabel. As they have already made their home at Lucknow, and also they had planned to stay in Lucknow for 2 months with Aunt Mabel. That's why they are going to Lucknow to visit Aunt Mabel. Okay, so they have reserved and occupied an entire 4 berth compartment for themselves. So they had reserved compartment for themselves in the first class. Okay, so they had brought along with them a variety of animals like parrot, Popeye, that was insisted by grandmother. Okay, grandfather has taken his teenage tiger Timothy. Okay, and the narrator, the author, has his own little pet Chips, squirrel. Okay, so Chips, Timothy, Popeye, as these all are the names of the animals of the authors. Okay, they had not taken Python as the grandmother did not want to take along with them, and they also thought it would be a wise decision not to take the Python with them. So they had not taken Python. They have taken all the pets, but they had not taken the Python because grandfather didn't want to take Python, and grandfather and this author also thought it will be wise not to take Python with them. Okay, so Timothy the tiger had the entire single berth for himself. Okay, so the entire 1 berth compartment is reserved for tiger only, and they And the story takes us to the olden days of our country when the population of our country was very low. So, the story takes us to the olden days of our country when the population of our country was very low as compared to today's. So, in those days, it was possible for everyone to travel with their pets. Okay, that's why the author have taken all their pets with them. Okay, but in today's case, it is not possible to take all the pets with them. Okay, so during that time the population was very low. That's why the poet that's why the author and the grandfather had taken all his pets with him in his journey from Lucknow to from Dehradun to Lucknow. Okay, the journey starts very well and there was no complaint about any pets. Even the guard accepts Timothy Tiger was a very good passenger because he was very well behaved like other humans in the train. So these animals were very well disciplined, and this guard also accepts Timothy was a very good passenger because he does not steal any food items from vendors and he does not shout at coolies and he didn't break the railway property and no speeding and was very disciplined. Okay, now even the chief, the squirrel, finds the train heaven. So for the chief, the squirrel, the train was like heaven. Okay, passenger in the train had brought roasted peanuts with them, and no sooner chips was very fast to make everyone his friends. Okay, so uh, due, in the short time only, this chips was so familiar with the passenger that that he made all the passenger his friends and started to share the peanuts with the passenger. Okay, but the journey was not the same and peaceful for the family as Popeye Parrot begins to object the vendors and poking other people through the window. But journey was not the same and peaceful throughout. Okay, in between what this parrot was doing, Popeye was doing, he started to object the vendors and started poking other people through the windows. Okay, Chips also comes out of the author's pocket and disappears from the compartment, squirreling along the corridor. Now, slowly, this Chips also started showing his manner as he is jumping from here and there to here and there. Okay, his tummy was almost bursting with the peanuts taken from the passenger before reaching Lucknow. So this Chips had eaten a lot of peanuts with the passenger, so that's why his tummy was almost looking like as if it is going to burst. Okay, so in the meanwhile what happens, uh, grandmother feels asleep and she wants to sleep opposite to the Timothy. Okay, and grandfather that time only asks her if she feels hungry, and the grandmother says, replies she is not hungry, and asks grandfather to take the food from the basket. If uh, if hungry, then goes to sleep. Okay, then grandmother goes to sleep. Okay, so now grandfather and narrator both feels hungry and opens the food basket but only finds the dinner gone away. So when they open the basket, they find that the dinner was not there. Okay, it's gone away, and the python had crawled itself into the basket after eating the complete food. Okay, now when they opens the food basket to have some food, then what happens? They see that there is no food inside, and instead of food they see that the python is crawling in and sitting inside the basket after eating the complete food that they had brought for whole family throughout the journey. Okay, so from where the python came out there, because they had not uh, brought python in the journey. So from where the python came, the python had found its way from the garden where it had been laid out and got into food basket. Okay, so the python had found its way from the garden, and this python slowly got inside the food basket bag and became the part of this journey of the narrator and narrator's family. Okay, so the python had found its way from the garden where it had been laid out and got into food basket into the train without anyone's knowledge in the family. Grandfather tells the narrator not to mention about the python to the grandmother, as she will think they brought the python unknowingly done by them. Okay? The journey was still to cover, but at the midnight they wake up with the cries of snake. So the journey was still to cover, but what happened at the midnight? They were the all the families will wake up by the cries of snake. So they heard someone crying snake, snake. Okay, like that. So it was the passenger shouting to see the python crawling up in the wash basin. So why the passenger was shouting? Because he had seen the python crawling in the wash basin when he was going to the toilet. Okay, so this passenger was shouting snake, snake. Okay, so and why the snake had gone out there? He had gone out there to drink water, because after the meal he was feeling so thirsty that he wanted to drink some water, and he had also eaten all the meal of the narrator's family that they had brought to eat during the journey. Okay, so the sound of the passenger at the midnight wakes them up, and the grandfather, to surprise of other in the train, picks up the python and says he would not harm anyone as he had eaten full meal. So the grandfather picks up the python and says to the passenger that he will not harm anyone as he had eaten full meal. Okay, grandfather takes him back to the compartment. However, their journey is finished now and they reached Lucknow. Okay, no, and by the time they reached Lucknow, so they find Aunt Mabel waiting for them at Lucknow station. She is a kind of forceful woman, of somewhat humorous in nature. She is kind of open-hearted woman who loves the food cooked by grandmother. So this Aunt Mabel used to love to eat the food cooked by grandmother. Okay, she becomes very happy that the basket at the author hand was full of food cooked by grandmother. So when he sees the basket in the author's hand, she feels very happy as she thinks that there is a delicious food cooked by grandmother. Okay? An author also adds the basket is completely for Aunt Mabel. Out of the station, the grand Chevrolet taxi waiting for them. So when they were out of the station, then they sees the grand Chevrolet taxi waiting for them. They head towards the new home. Now they move towards their new home. They want to settle now in their new home at Lucknow. Okay? And as grandfather says, finally they reach their new home. And resting for a while in the new home, they see that the light breakfast waiting for them on the dining table. Now the breakfast was ready for them in the dining table. Aunt Mabel gives the basket of food for her from grandmother's on the table and eagerly opens the lid. Now, this Aunt Mabel was in a hurry to eat the food that is inside the basket, which was made by grandmother. Okay? And very soon she keeps that basket on the table and starts to open the basket. So when she opens the basket, when she opens the lid, suddenly she faints and falls down. Okay? Why she falls and falls down? Because she sees the python crawling and sitting inside the basket. Okay? Grandfather takes the python away and hangs it over the guava tree. And when Aunt Mabel recovers, she says that she imagined that she saw a snake. Now, the Aunt Mabel, when she recovers, then what she says? She imagined as if she had seen a snake. Okay? And believes that it was her dream and imagination. Okay? But but it was in happened in real. But this Mabel thinks it was a dream for her, that it was a dream of her that she had seen the snake, and she thinks it was just the imagination, but later on she knows that it happened in real. Okay? Listening to her, everyone burst into laughter, and everyone in the family, they start laughing loudly. Okay? Why the family starts laughing? Because actually it happened in real, and but this Mabel thinks that the Aunt Mabel thinks that it was just the imagination and it was just her dream. Okay, that's why a whole family burst into laughter, and with their laughter, this story ends. So, this is all about the fun that the family had during their journey from Dehradun to Lucknow. And finally, they reached Lucknow at their new home, and now they are together and happy. So, my dear students, we have successfully completed this chapter, Traveling with Grandfathers Jew. Hope you all liked the story, and as a home assignment, it will be uploaded in your group. With that, stay home, stay safe, keep learning, and have a nice day.